Ah, Oakhaven Manor. I recall it well. A grand old pile nestled deep within the rolling hills of Sussex. The year, you ask? 1900 and, let's say 23. A crisp autumn evening it was, the sort where the wind whispers secrets through the ancient oaks. Inside, a grand party was in full swing. Lord Harrington, bless his naive heart, loved a good gathering. Candlelight flickered, casting long dancing shadows upon the tapestries. Laughter, a little too bright, echoed through the cavernous halls. But beneath the polished veneer, a disquietude lay like a shroud. A palpable tension, heavy as the damask curtains. One could almost taste the fear in the air, mingling with the scent of beeswax and old money. Young Alistair Finch, a guest that fateful night, was not partaking in the revelry. His brow was furrowed, his eyes darting about the crowded ballroom. He sought his younger sister Eleanor. A troubled girl, Eleanor, prone to melancholic fits and unsettling pronouncements. She had vanished from the main festivities some hours prior. Alistair, ever the protective older brother, felt a cold dread coiling in his stomach. He'd seen a darkness in her eyes of late, a vacant stare that spoke of unseen companions. He feared she had wandered off towards the older, disused wing of the manor, a place even the staff avoided after dusk. He pushed past chattering guests, his apologies unheard. He found her in the old library, a room thick with the dust of ages and the scent of decaying paper. Eleanor stood before the cold black hearth, her silhouette stark against the moonlight filtering through a grimy window. She held a small, ornate letter opener, its silver point glinting malevolently. "Eleanor," Alistair began, his voice a mere croak. "What are you doing in here, dear girl? Come back to the party?" She turned slowly, a strange, serene smile upon her lips. Her eyes, however, were not her own. They were wide, unseeing, reflecting a terror Alistair could not comprehend. He took a step towards her, his hand outstretched. "They told me it's the only way, Alistair," she whispered, her voice a chilling echo of her usual tones. The only way to silence the whispers. They promised peace. Before Alistair could react, before he could bridge the gap between them, she moved with a swift, terrible grace. The letter opener flashed. A small, choked sound escaped her lips. And then, silence. A profound, horrifying silence that swallowed the distant party sounds whole. Alistair could only stare, rooted to the spot, the image of his sister, and the crimson stain blooming on her white dress seared into his very soul. Oakhaven held its breath that night. Years passed, decades in fact. Oakhaven Manor fell into a genteel disrepair, its secrets sleeping beneath layers of dust and neglect. We shift our gaze now to young Cecily, a girl of 16, residing in a rather more modest dwelling not far from Oakhaven's brooding shadow. The year is now, let us say, 1978. Cecily was a solitary creature, her heart heavy with a recent loss. Her mother, taken too soon, had left a void that Cecily's well-meaning but emotionally distant father could not fill. She felt adrift, a ghost in her own home, the silence of her grief a constant, unwelcome companion. The world seemed muted, its colours faded. Her school friends, Rowena and young Pip, were boisterous by comparison. They were always seeking some new thrill, some escape from the quietude of village life. One Saturday evening, a clandestine invitation arrived. A party, they whispered, at a deserted cottage on the edge of the Oakhaven estate. "It'll be a lark, Cecily," Rowena urged, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "They say some older boys have found something peculiar." Pip, a lad of perhaps 14, looked a little apprehensive, but was easily swayed by the promise of adventure. Cecily, longing for any distraction from her sorrow, reluctantly agreed. The thought of sneaking out held a sliver of forbidden excitement. The cottage was dilapidated, its windows like vacant eyes. Inside, a motley group of youths huddled around a flickering hurricane lamp. And there, upon a rickety table, lay the object of their hushed fascination. It was a hand. An embalmed human hand, its skin like aged parchment, fingers curled inwards as if grasping a secret. Around its wrist, a tarnished silver locket, stubbornly closed. "This," a lanky youth announced with theatrical gravity, "is how we talk to them, the ones on the other side." He then explained the rules, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You hold the hand, you say, 'Talk to me.' Then when you feel them, when they're inside, you say, 'I let you in.'" But here's the crucial bit. You cannot, under any circumstances, hold on for more than 90 seconds. 90 seconds, mark it, or they might decide they want to stay. And you must always, always blow out the candle to close the door. Break these rules. He paused for effect, his gaze sweeping over their unnerved faces. And you invite more than just a conversation. You invite a permanent guest. A shiver ran down Cecily's spine, a strange mixture of fear and an inexplicable pull towards the grotesque relic. The air in the cramped cottage grew thick with anticipation. One by one, the older youths took their turn, their faces contorting with a mixture of fear and exhilaration as they supposedly channeled unseen entities. Then it was Cecily's turn. Her hand trembled as she reached for the cold, dry fingers of the embalmed relic. "Talk to me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. A peculiar chill enveloped her, a pressure built behind her eyes. Then a jolt, as if an icy current had surged through her veins. I let you in," she stammered, the words feeling alien on her tongue. Her body went rigid, her eyes snapped open, wide and unfocused. A voice, not her own, rasped from her lips, guttural and ancient. It spoke of shadows and forgotten sorrows. Rowena and the others watched, horrified and fascinated. Pip, bless his young heart, began to whimper. The 90 seconds ticked by with agonizing slowness. "Blow out the candle!" Rowena finally shrieked, her bravado gone. Another boy lunged forward, extinguishing the flame just as Cecily's body began to convulse violently. She gasped, collapsing back, the connection severed. The spirit, however, seemed to have taken a particular, chilling interest in young Pip, its rasped words hinting at a desire for a fresher vessel. Despite the terror of that first encounter, or perhaps because of it, the group found themselves drawn back to the hand. It was a dark addiction, a morbid curiosity that gnawed at them. Each session seemed to push them further, the spirits becoming more demanding, more malevolent. One evening, it was Pip's turn. He was hesitant, his earlier fear magnified. But peer pressure, that cruel taskmaster, won out. He grasped the hand. The possession was instant and terrifyingly violent. Pip's small frame thrashed, his voice a demonic roar. He lashed out, his nails scratching deep into Rowena's arm before they could douse the candle. The game had ceased to be a game. Cecily was consumed by guilt. Pip's haunted eyes, the raw fear in Rowena's face. These images plagued her waking hours and twisted her dreams into nightmares. She saw shadows in the periphery of her vision, heard whispers when no one was near. The isolation she had felt after her mother's death returned, intensified. She withdrew further from her father, unable to share the terrible secret she carried. Driven by a desperate, foolish hope, she decided to use the hand alone. She wanted to speak to her mother, to find some solace, but the hand, it seemed, had other plans for her. Her solitary communion with the hand did not bring her mother's comforting presence. Instead, it opened a floodgate to a chorus of tormented voices, each vying for her attention, for a way back into the world of the living. Cecily's reality began to fray at the edges. The spirits were no longer confined to the moments she held the hand. They bled into her everyday life. Her mother's face, when she tried to picture it, would contort into a leering mask. Familiar rooms in her home would twist into nightmarish landscapes. The spirits whispered insidious suggestions, urging her to distrust her friends, to see her father as a threat. She was losing herself. The climax arrived on a stormy night, much like the one that had claimed Eleanor Finch so many years ago at Oakley. The spirits, now a constant tormenting presence in Cecily's mind, showed her a terrible vision. Pip, drawn back to the cursed cottage by an unseen force, was about to use the hand alone. The spirits demanded she let them take him, promising her peace in return, promising her mother's embrace. "He is young, pliable," they hissed in her mind. "A perfect vessel. Let us have him, and your suffering will end." She found herself running through the storm towards the cottage, her mind a battlefield. She burst into the cottage to find Pip, pale and trembling, reaching for the hand. The candle flickered, casting monstrous shadows. The spirit screamed in her head, "Let him take it, join us!" But as she looked at Pip's terrified face, something within her, a spark of her former self, ignited. She couldn't let him suffer the same fate. In a moment of desperate clarity, she snatched the hand. "Talk to me!" she screamed, not at the hand, but at the legion of spirits. "I let you in!" she roared, embracing the full torrent of their darkness, but this time she did not intend to let go. She would take them all with her. She felt her consciousness being ripped apart, her body collapsing. But there was no peace, no gentle oblivion, no reunion with her mother. Instead, a disorienting blackness. Then a sudden sickening pull. Cecily opened eyes that were not her own, looking out from a new perspective. She was in a brightly lit room, unfamiliar faces peering down. A voice, young and excited, said, "Talk to me," and then another voice, "I let you in." Cecily, or what remained of her, was now one of the whispers in the candlelight, her spirit tethered to the hand, summoned again and again, an unwilling participant in an unending, chilling cycle. Far from Oakhaven, far from home, the hand always finds new players, always.